Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle. Welcome to Modern Day Deborah, Voice for the Voiceless. This is my first YouTube video, so everybody's a first time viewer. Thank you for tuning in. I want to talk about something in this video that's very near and dear to my heart. I'll give you just a little bit of background about me. I've been working in the field of victim advocacy for about 21 years. And in that time, I've worked with a lot of abused women. I work with victims of all types of crime, but the majority of the cases that I work are domestic violence victims. And I have male victims as well. The majority of the cases are, of course, women, but I do have some male victims. But in this video, I want to talk about something that I've been seeing a lot of, and it just kind of made me want to do a video just to kind of help women who are waiting to be married to be mindful um, that when we're in a position of waiting, that we're in a vulnerable position. And so when you're in a vulnerable position, you might get your foot caught in a hidden trap of danger if you're not mindful of the fact that um, your waiting process is basically God preparing you for what you ask for. So if you are in a position of, excuse me, if you're in a position of waiting and you're looking at that as something that's bad or that's negative, like God is punishing you, it's not any of that at all. It's basically God is preparing you for what you ask for. And I have come to realize that because of a lot of mistakes that I've made. Um, I was married for 25 years and been divorced now for about 7. And I made some mistakes after my divorce, thinking that I was ready. A couple of years after I got divorced, thinking that I was ready, now to start dating, and I wasn't. I wasn't ready at all. Um, Marriage is two people becoming one, and then when unfortunately there was a divorce, it is the ripping apart of those two people, and that unless you've been through it, you can't even imagine, especially when you've been married for 25 years. You've built a family together. And that was one of the darkest times of my life, going through that process of healing after that. And then, not only was it the ripping apart of the marriage, but it was the ripping apart of the family. And so I think I mourned that the loss of the family than I did the loss of the marriage. But either way, all of it was hard to it was hard to get through. But thank God, um, in that time I decided or made the decision to draw closer to God, because I was just in a bad place. I was mentally I was depressed. I didn't want to get up out of the bed in the morning. I I had a job and still have a job where I work with victims of domestic violence, where I work with abused, hurting women. And so now I'm in a position where I am like the women that I'm helping. And so I remember so many times that I could be anywhere and I would just be so overwhelmed, with just hurt and pain. And I would be in a grocery store and I'd have to go in the bathroom and just and because I literally just had burst into tears and uncontrollably crying because I was just going through this pain. Um, I could be anywhere. I could be in my office getting ready to call a victim and just burst into tears because I'm like, God, how am I going to help these women? And I'm hurting too. How am I going to help them? And I need help myself. And so I got through, I eventually got through that process. And and then a couple of years later, like I said, after my divorce, I thought I was ready to start dating. And I wasn't, because my healing process really wasn't done yet. And you know what, to be quite honest, I didn't even ask God if that was somebody that not only was it not somebody that he brought into my life to be my husband, but I didn't even ask if it was somebody I should have been even dating. I did what I wanted to do at that particular time. And so then I end up having to go through another healing process because that first healing process wasn't done. I thought I was big and bad enough to go ahead and start a relationship, and I wasn't. And what I did was I attracted somebody to me that was pretty much in the same boat I was in. He had just gotten out of a marriage. I had just, well, a couple of years prior to that, I had just gotten out of a marriage, and um, we were both still broken, two broken people. That's not a healthy relationship. And so that's why I wanted to just kind of talk about it and help you be mindful of the fact that if you're waiting for marriage, don't look at it as like God is punishing you or something bad. I mean, people gonna talk, people gonna say what they want to say. That's just how people are. It is not a reflection of you. It is a reflection of them. If you've been waiting for a long time for your spouse, then that just means that God is, hey, it might be something it's a special order. So maybe it's taking that much time because He's working on you, He's working on him, He's working on the situation, doing some things behind the scenes, so that when He brings y'all together, you know, it's all good. You're whole, He's whole. And specifically if you're waiting, like I'm waiting on my kingdom spouse because I'm kingdom. So if I'm kingdom, he got, he's we gonna be kingdom together. And so specifically if you're waiting for a kingdom spouse, you have to keep your mind and your focus on things of the kingdom. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added to you. You got to first seek His kingdom. So um that was one of the things that I really kind of focused on after my divorce. Was just I just got into the presence of God. And I was able to do it because I was living here alone. I was living alone because my oldest daughter was married. My two younger kids had just went in the military a week apart, and so I was home alone, and I had time to really just, when I wanted to cry, I could cry. When I wanted to walk through my house and pray, cry out to God, I could do whatever I wanted to do in that time because, like I said, I was here alone. And so I went through that process. I remember going through the process. Like I said, it was hard, but I got through the process. But when I got into this relationship a couple of years later, I still wasn't ready. I still wasn't ready to be in a relationship. I still wasn't healed and whole. And to be quite honest with you, I'm just now 7 years later understanding a lot of the fact that not only did I needed to be healed from relationship hurt, but some things that I went through in my childhood that I didn't realize how much they were affecting me now in my adulthood. So we have to be mindful of the fact that there is a lot of stuff that we may not even realize that God needs to work out in us, or do that inner healing on the inside of us, because you don't want to have to be going through this kind of a healing process while you're married. That's not His purpose. So I think that when we're in this time about kingdom spouses and God ordained marriages, is because we're not doing that anymore. You're getting into relationships just because you want to. If your mind, if you are a woman of God and you are seeking a marriage that is ordained by God, then He's the one that's going to put it together. He's the one that I don't even know. Like, I don't even ask God. I used to, Lord, tell me who my husband is. Where is he, and all this other stuff. And I just got to the point where I'm like, you know what, God, I doubt it don't even matter to me. That ain't even none of my business. Where he is, who he is, that ain't none of my business. Just I need to work on me. I need you to do a work in me. I'm focused right now. I'm on a journey to wholeness. I need you to heal me from things that I didn't even know I needed to be healed from. And see, what we need to realize is that we're all products of our environment. And because we're products of our environment, things that we went through in our childhood, you still might be affected and impacted as an adult. You still dealing with, still walking around as an adult woman, a child in an adult woman's body, because that child, whatever pain that you may have endured as a child, whether it was molestation, you were physically abused, whatever it was that you experienced in your childhood is very much a part of you as an adult. It doesn't define you, but if you don't know why you do some of the stuff that you do, then it you may go through a good part of your life or even the rest of your life not understanding why you got anger, or not understanding why you lash out, or not understanding why you may do certain things. It's because there is unhealed pain, and hurts and trauma and all these things that we deal with in our lives, that we need to allow God to just do a work on the inside of us. And that's what it's become for, that's what it has become for me. Because I know a lot of times, especially when we're women and we're waiting, and we're waiting for to be found by our spouse, we start focusing on all this outside stuff. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You should be mindful of how you look. You should care about how you look and your outward appearance. You should care about it, and you should take care of that. But don't neglect the most important part, and that's the inner healing that needs to take place. That's the inner work that needs to be done, because you can be just as gorgeous as you want to be on the outside, but if the inside is hurting and not healed and messed up, it's that's not even going to benefit you, because you need to be whole inside. And then I just think that inner healing, will help you with everything else, or give you a better perspective even on how to take care of yourself and what you should be doing, and give you just a mind to be able to work on you, on the outside of you. But when you working on the outside of you and the inside of you is still damaged, at some point in time that's going to come out. And God is not going to work on your spouse, the man that he's chosen for you. He's not going to put all that work into him and then present you to him, and you're not whole and you're not ready, and he's just not going to do that. Why? He's a wise God. Why? He's just not going to do that. So I want, just to kind of convey to you, to us as women, that the waiting process is really preparation. It's not to to punish you, or it's not to just, maybe it might be teaching you patience, but I just believe, in my experience, for the most part, it has helped me. It has helped me to understand that and every time I would think that I'm ready, and I'd be like mad because, I'm still single. I would do something, and I would hear the Holy Spirit say, see, that's why you're not ready. So I am on this journey to wholeness. And because I don't want to just be, it's not just about being married to me, or having a title. It's not just about that. I want to be just as much a blessing to him that he is to me. And so in order to do that, I have to allow God to do the work in me that needs to be done. And so that's one of the first things that I want to talk about, is just be honest with yourself about where you are mentally, psychologically, spiritually. Where are you? Who are you? Are there things in your past that you need to face and deal with and be healed from? Uh, it could be anything. If somebody hurt you, and maybe the person may not even be alive right now, but go to God in prayer, and ask him, to help you and to heal you, because he wants to do that. He wants you to be whole. He wants you to be, healed, and in a place where that when you get in your marriage, that he can use the two of you to do work in his kingdom, to do whatever, because if your kingdom and his kingdom, your relationship together, he's got some kind of assignment for you guys to do together. That's just what I believe anyway about myself. My kingdom spouse is going to complement me, and I'm going to complement him, and whatever our assignment is in the earth, that's what we're going to do together. And so it may take whatever God has to do in him and in me. That's what that's what it's going to take. And we just have to be mindful of the fact that if we are like, if you're just so, um, being married is just like so, that's just so important to you. Ask yourself, why is it so important to you? Um, just get a good perspective on where you are as a woman, as a person in your mind. Where are you? Why is this something that's so important to you? And it could be, there is no right or wrong answer. I'm just saying, be honest with yourself and just kind of get a good perspective of where you are, so that maybe you might understand. Be honest with yourself so that maybe you'll understand why the process is taking as long as it is. And it might not be just the fact that he's working on you, because he's working on him too. He's working on whatever other things that he needs to work on behind the scenes that you can't see, or you don't know. Um, but it all is in his timing, and he knows what he's doing. And trust me, I know that it's not easy, because I've been waiting 7 years. I've been waiting, and I know it's not easy. And I have my times, but thank God I have somebody that, I got a sister in Christ that I can call, or we can call each other whenever we get, one of us get to the point where it's like, man, this you're gonna have those days where, man, this is a tough day, sis. I need to talk. It's hard. And so thank God for that. And I've gotten to the point where I just realized that, because I realized those things about me, that I need to allow God to heal me and to do a work in me. Okay, so whatever it takes for him to do that, I have to allow him to do that, and not because your position, how you wait, is just as important as waiting. Because if you have an attitude while you wait, and you like, man, it's taking so long, and you could be having a pity party and crying and doing all that stuff. Ain't none of that gonna make God move no faster. Matter of fact, you might be delaying your process by doing all of that. Trust me, I know, because I've done it all, and it didn't change anything. Like I said, it might have likely, delayed the process. So just be mindful of the fact that when you're vulnerable, when you're in a vulnerable state of waiting, and whatever these issues that we have that we've not dealt with, that is what makes us vulnerable to being, our foot being caught in a hidden trap of danger. Because if you're not healed, and and your self-esteem is low, and you feel like, you might, is anybody even going to want to marry me because of, how you look? Maybe you think you're too big, you too skinny, you too tall, you're too short, whatever you might think, or maybe you have children, and from a previous relationship, and you think, well, um who's going to want to marry me because I have children, or whatever the reason is. If that person, if the person that God choose, if you allow that and wait for the person that God has chosen for you, he's going to love you. He's going to love all of you. He's going to love everything. He's going to love the whole package. He's going to love you. He's going to love your kids. He's going to love your flaws. He's going to love everything. If it's the spouse that God has ordained for you, then you don't have to worry about any of that. He gonna love you just like you are. And if he don't, well, then maybe he's not the one. But I believe if God chose him, then he's gonna love everything about you. So you don't have to worry about anything that you feel might be something that could deter somebody from wanting to be in a relationship with you. Don't worry about any of that stuff, because God got that all under control. He know who when he picks somebody for you, he know that this person is the right person for you, and that he's gonna love you. I believe that the person that God has chosen for me is going to be above and beyond anything I could ever have imagined in a husband. I really do. I really feel that. I'm very confident of that. Um, because God, that's just how he does. He don't do nothing for you that you can just look at it and be like, oh no, okay. No, he does exceedingly and abundantly above all you could ever ask or think. When he do it, and he do it good. Um, so there's no reason why we should have to be. I see some things. I've seen some videos where I just feel like the focus should not be so much on oh, I'm getting married now, you know, and I'm not knocking any of that, because when God do it, I'm gonna be the first one to be just like Suge Avery on The Color Purple. I's mad now. I's mad now. See, I's mad now. I sure am. But I just, when it's the right timing, I think it takes time to get to know somebody. Take your time to get to know this person. Um, Especially, I mean, I know if you feel like God say this is your spouse, then I'm not questioning anything, but I am cautioning you not to jump on every prophetic word that says your kingdom spouse is coming, and then it's somebody that you is somebody that you might be interested in that may not necessarily be, you know, that might not be the one unless God has told you that that's the one. But then, um, just don't be mindful of the fact that it's in God's timing. Even if God has told you who this person is, it's still in His timing. Um, but yeah, just you know, I just because of the field that I work in, I don't want to see anybody get their foot caught in the hidden trap of danger. And I just keep saying that because that's the scripture that I kept hearing one morning when I woke up. I believe it's Proverbs 3:26. The Lord will keep your foot. He will be your confidence and keep your foot from getting caught in a trap. But you have to let Him be your confidence, and don't be your own confidence, and don't think that you know when you're ready, or you know more than what God know, or why is it taking so long? Because I feel like I'm ready, and I can say that because I felt like I was ready. And because I felt like I was ready, and like I said, to be honest with you, I didn't even ask God if this person was somebody that was, if this was my husband, much less if it was somebody I was supposed to be in a relationship with. I didn't care at that particular time in my life, because that was something that I wanted to do. And I thought I was big and bad enough to do it. And then I ended up having to go through a whole other healing process. And that was no fun at all. Not at all. So that's the reason why, if you can learn from my mistakes, please do. And don't get into a marriage with somebody just because you tired of waiting, and this person comes to you and they say, I don't care what title I don't care nothing about their title. They tell you God said you my wife. You better go to God and ask God. Because I'm gonna tell you, there's some people out there, there's some men out there that will prey on women that they know is just, you just so ready to be married. You want to be married so bad. And so it's some men that will prey on women that that they don't want to be married. They don't want to be in a relationship. So don't allow the fact that you're single to be a reason that um, you know, give somebody access to you that don't deserve to have access to you. And this is why we see these relationships where you see women, man, I'm telling you, domestic violence, Google it. Just put the word domestic violence in and Google it and see what comes up. You can do it on YouTube. Google it on any form of social media. It is real. It is happening every day. I'm telling you, young, old, it don't matter. It's happening a lot. And if we're not careful, because look, when you meet a man, a person, you don't really know that much about that person, and you really don't know if they're an abusive person, because the real them ain't gonna come out until you know you least expect it. Because when you first meet them, they're gonna be everything that you ever wanted them to be. They could be charming, you know, they will have the whole game working. And if you're not mindful, and if you're not discerning, and if you're, in a state of waiting, and you're vulnerable, and this person come to you and say, oh, God said you was my wife, you have to really, that's why it's important to stay in the presence of God. This time of waiting should be a time that you are really spending time in the presence of God and finding out, what is His will for your life. I don't even ask God who my husband is no more. I used to ask and I didn't get no answer. So I guess that's His way of saying you'll find out when I bring him to you, or when I present you to him, or when I bring y'all together, you'll find out. And I'm good with that. that just means I'm just gonna be that much more surprised. And um, but it took me some time to get to this um this place where I am right now, where really, I'm just really, okay, God, just do a work in me. We most of the time we're waiting for our spouse. We so focused on who is he, what he look like, do he got money, what kind of car he drive, and all this stuff that, if God's taking care of all of that, you don't need to be worried about all that. All that time you worried about what he look like, who he is, what he do, and all this other stuff, you could be using that time to focus on you. Focus on you. You know, has God given you anything to do, to occupy your time? You have a job, or you have your own business, or whatever it is. Do make sure you have something to occupy your time. Because if you don't have anything that that you can use as like an outlet, or something to keep your mind on, bettering yourself, you know be the best that you can be now by yourself. Be the best you that you can be. Allow God to do the work in you so that you can be the best version of you that you could possibly be. So that when God brings you two together, you're a whole person, he's a whole person, and you don't have to, there's no um you don't have to worry about trying to uh, fix him. He ain't got to worry about trying to fix you, because you already know that God is the one that does the fixing. I don't. I've already been in that. I already know better. You can't change nobody, and nobody can change you. God is the one that does the changing. Our job is to pray. And one thing I do know is prayer changes things. That I do know. And so just be mindful. Please don't be so in a hurry to get married that you get in yourself in a relationship that God didn't never design for you to be in. And then you delay the healing process that he had already started in you, and now you got to start all over again. Now you got to go through a whole other healing process because you didn't want to wait. And just, like I said, God knows what he is doing. Let him do what he needs to do in you and in him. And just don't even look at it as you waiting. I'm waiting on my Boaz. I'm waiting on my Ruth wasn't even waiting on Boaz. If you read that scripture, she wasn't waiting on Boaz when he saw her. The Bible says she happened, to come to the field, to that Boaz's field. She happened to come to that field, and he noticed her, and he asked about her. So, she wasn't waiting. She wasn't even thinking about Boaz. She was thinking about gleaning that grain so that she can eat, and so that Naomi could eat. She was doing that gleaning so she could take care of her mother-in-law and herself. She wasn't waiting on no Boaz, and we love to say that. Oh, I'm waiting on my Boaz. I'm waiting on God to do a work in me so that my husband can notice me, because I'm about my father's business. And while I'm about my father's business, my husband, he's gonna notice me. At some point in time, he's gonna notice me, and I know this. But I'm gonna be about my father's business. When he notices me, I'm gonna be about my father's business. And so make sure that you that you are honest with yourself. Evaluate. If you find yourself that you can't even think straight, that every day you go to bed and you thinking about, oh, I'm tired of being single, I can't wait to get married. You go to bed at night thinking about it. You wake up in the morning thinking about it. You thinking about it during the day. Sis, you gotta really have an honest conversation with yourself if that is the case, because there has to be some reason why it's that important to you. And trust me, I'm saying it because I'm talking about what I know I went through. And I had to get to a point where I realized that it wasn't so much about me being married. It was about what I felt like the marriage was going to do for me. I felt like the marriage was going to validate me. I felt like the marriage is going to heal me, or all these ideas that I had about what I felt like this marriage was going to do for me. I didn't have my mind wasn't on the right things. My mind wasn't focused on the kingdom. It was just focused on, just being married. It's more than just a title. It's more than just, a position that you're in. It's more than all that. And it's work. It is work. So if you're not prepared to work in a marriage and you just want to have a ring on your finger so you can say, I's mad now, like Sugar Avery, you're not ready, sis. Because marriage is work. I mean, it's work every day. And I can say it because, like I said, I was married for 25 years. I know it's work. It is work. And, you know, and, because when I was 19, I think I was 19 when I met my ex-husband, and I think 20 when we got married. Wasn't ready for no marriage. I didn't even know I look, all I knew is everybody was getting married, and that's what you do, because I was in the military, he was in the military. We met, and that was just how it was back then. I was young, he was young. We ain't know no better. We eloped, to be to be quite honest with you. We eloped. Don't follow my example. We eloped. We didn't know anything that, very much about each other at all. We were both very young. And so, and I was very newly saved. I think I had when I went home on mid-tour leave, I was stationed in Korea. I went home on mid-tour leave and I got saved. And I remember I was 18. And so I had just met him on a plane. I was going home and he was going home. And so, yeah, I had just gotten saved. So, when you first get saved, God still got to do some work in you. Um, so I had gotten saved probably about a year prior to us actually, getting engaged and then, getting married. I didn't know. I didn't even know what to pray for, how to pray. We snuck and got married. So we was just wrong from the get go. We was just wrong. But by the grace of God, it worked. It lasted for as long as it lasted. We have 3 beautiful children. We got grandkids. So, I don't despise my journey. I don't despise it at all. It made me who I am today. I had to make mistakes along the way, in order for me to be able. Look, experience is a good teacher. It really is. Experience is a good teacher. But what I'm trying to do is help you not have to go through the same things that I went through. I'm trying to save you some steps, because you know you don't have to end up in abusive relationships. But a lot of times that we do end up, and let me just explain this. Abuse is not just the physical aspect of it. There's emotional abuse, psychological abuse, there is mental abuse, verbal abuse, spiritual abuse. There are a lot of types of abuse. But people don't really identify it as that until it gets physical. But emotional abuse is something else. I'm telling you something. It will wear you down. It will wear you down over the years. It will wear you down. It will have you questioning, your sanity. I'm telling you. So just be mindful, because the way that we get in these types of relationships is, first of all, we don't go to God. Like I said, I thought I was big and bad enough after a couple of years after my divorce, and I wasn't ready, because the healing that needed to take place in me hadn't taken place. And when you're broken like that, you attract where you at. I attracted somebody that was broken also. So be mindful. Let God do the work in you that needs to be done. He knows what he's doing. Don't look at your singleness as, oh, woe is me and everybody getting married and I'm tired of being single and seeing everybody happy. It is for your benefit. And I have come to understand and realize that it is for my benefit. So that's what I want to try to tell you. Don't be so eager, to get married that you settle for somebody that God never intended for you to be with. Don't be so, eager to be married and I know sometimes, like, you get tired of people talking about you, and tired of people asking you when you get married and why you still single and all this other stuff. It really ain't none of their business. It's that God is doing what he's doing. And you just, like, you just want to prove people wrong or whatever. Ain't none of those good reasons. When it happens, it's gonna blow your mind, and it's gonna blow everybody mind around you. It's gonna blow your mind because you the one that waited. You the one that went through the process. You the one that allowed God to do the work in you that needed to be done. Don't worry, sis. They'll see. You just got it. Your job is to sit still and let God do what he need to do in you. Because trust me, might be some things in you that you didn't even know that need to be done in you. It might be some hurt, some trauma, some pain, unhealed, unforgiveness, bitterness. It could be anything that is still in you that is preventing you from being the best version of you that God created you to be. It could be anything. And that's what I learned recently. Oh, like, I'm just focusing on, okay, the hurt that I experienced in relationship, in, romantic relationship. But I did not even, think about the fact that I still got, hurt and, and unhealed pain and trauma from trauma and stuff from my childhood and, other things. Yeah, just don't focus on him, who he is, when he coming, where don't focus on all that stuff, because the most important thing is you. Fall in love with you. Fall in love with you. I'm telling you, it was a time that I would go out to dinner. I took myself out to dinner. I took myself to a movie. I mean, I would go shopping every, maybe a couple times a month. I would just go shopping, just, I would just shower myself, with love. I would treat me the way I wanted somebody to treat me. But you just, and I understand how you feel. Like I said, I've been waiting 7 years. I've just got to the point I wake up and I say, Lord, I thank you that today I'm going to meet my husband. And if I don't meet him today, I have just gotten one day closer to meeting him. And leave it at that. God got it. He got it under control. If you focusing and, that's all you can think about, and it's got you down and you feel like it really ain't none of that. Don't look at your healing process or your waiting process as something bad, or, God is punishing you, or, it's none of that, sis. It really is a good time. It really is a time for you just to, to focus on you, inner healing, hey, and yeah, work on the outside of you. Work on the whole thing. Like I said, I'm on this journey to wholeness because I thought when I got healed, that meant I was whole, and I wasn't. Being whole is a whole other process. That's inside and out. It's emotional, psychological. It is, spiritual. You really, just don't allow people to make you feel like, well, why, when is it gonna happen? It's gonna happen when God say it's time to happen. That's when it's gonna happen. Don't give in to peer pressure and all this other stuff, and end up marrying somebody just so you can say, ooh, I finally got married, or I got married. What about, okay, so I'm concerned about after the marriage. Okay, it ain't just about the wedding. It ain't just about the engagement or the proposal. It ain't just about that. What you gonna do after after he put a ring on it and y'all get married and y'all gotta live together and you gotta, you know, it's these two flesh becoming, or two souls becoming one. That's work. So don't be so, I see a lot of young girls, and that's just saying something. I'm not a young girl. I don't mind saying I'm 52 years old. And I have the whole experience of marriage and family and raising kids, and I loved every bit of. I mean, I love being pregnant. I love, raising my kids. I loved it. And I have grandkids now, so just don't despise the journey. Don't despise what God is using to make you be who you need to be, so you can have that marriage that you desire, and then it's going to be even above and beyond what you think it's going to be if you wait on God. But if you don't wait on God, and you know, like I did, think you big and bad and just jump out there and do what you want to do. Like I said, I was in a state where I didn't even, I hate to say it, but I didn't even ask God. I didn't care. I had this emptiness on the inside of me that I just wanted to be filled. I just wanted that emptiness and that pain and that hurt to go away. And I thought that a relationship was going to do that. I really did. I thought that being in a relationship would make me feel better, would fill that void. And then and even though I knew in my own mind, in my own heart, that the only thing that's going to fill that void is Jesus, is, the love of Christ, and him, me allowing him to come in and just love me, and show me what love is, and teach me about love. You know, that I tell you, I really learned a lot about who God is in that time when I was divorced, after my divorce. And I just drew closer to him. I drew closer to him because I was at a state where it was either draw close to God, or I was having, you know like crazy thoughts, like suicide and all kind of stuff. Like, I just don't even want to live no more. That's how much pain I was in. I was in a lot of pain. Oh man. And you can imagine, 25 years is a long time, and so my prayer for you, anybody that is, watching this video, and you're waiting to be married, and you're in a process of waiting, don't despise that journey. Don't despise the fact that you're in a time of waiting. You are in a time of preparation. That's what you're in a time of. You are preparing yourself for the king, just like Esther. All the preparations she had to go through, you being prepared for your king. But there's some preparations that got to take place. So don't despise the journey. Let God do what he need to do. Let him do what he need to do, and he's a wise God. He wants to give you the best. He is a wise God, and he knows exactly what he is doing. It's in his timing. And when it is time, when the time is right, he's going to blow your mind. It's going to be jaw dropping. It's going to be jaw dropping. So that's just really what I wanted to, I really wanted to say. Like, I really just want, people, I guess just, I say young women, but I'm sure it's older women. Like I said, I'm an older woman, that are waiting for marriage. Don't look at it as something bad. It's actually something that's really, really good. That God loves you enough to prepare you for something so great, you know, that if you allow him to do the work that needs to be done, you you will understand why you had to wait, and what he was doing in that process. So that's really what I wanted to say. Just be mindful of where you are. Be honest with yourself about where you are, and maybe that will help you have a better perspective of why you're still in a place of waiting. Understand that a place of waiting, you're vulnerable in that place. But make sure that you spending time with God. Stay in his presence. Stay in the presence of God. Pray, that God will keep you, and that he will keep your foot from getting caught in the hidden trap of danger. He will keep you from, uh, men having access to you that don't mean you no good. That's going to come in and take advantage of you because they know that you want to be married. That will take advantage of you because, you're in a vulnerable state. And that's how you get into these relationships with these abusive people, abusive men. And I know that women can be abusive too. I know men that's in abusive relationships with women. I work with I help a lot of men in abusive relationships. But just don't be mindful. Be mindful that when you're in a vulnerable state of, and waiting is a vulnerable state, that if you're not in the presence of God, and and praying for him to give you discernment, and asking him if these prophetic words that are coming out about kingdom spouses and your God ordained spouse, if that is a specific word for you, because you'll hear just a whole lot of words. I mean, I heard a whole lot of them, and most of the time my spirit will bear witness with, okay, this is a word for me. My spirit, it will be a confirmation of something that God has already said to me. So, you know, at that point I say, okay, I thank you for that confirmation, God. But every prophetic word I ain't for me. All of them ain't. I like I said, I hear them a lot. Ain't for me. It's a lot of people on YouTube that are doing, videos. A lot of it is very, educational, and on Facebook and Instagram, all these places. You can go in any form of social media and see just about anything. But ask the Lord to help you. You know, you might need to read books or watch videos or you know, uh, ask him to send people into your life that will help you um just get through this process. God is not trying to punish you. He is trying to prepare you for what you asked him for and be above and beyond what you asked him for. So, be mindful. This is a time that God is preparing you. It's not, it's not a bad place to be. It's not a place of punishment. It is, to me, I've just come to realize that it really is a good place to be. For me to be in a place where I'm able to just spend as much time with God as much as I want. I to be in His presence and to allow Him to love on me and show me how a man is supposed to love me. Some of you may not have had the love of a father that you and so you don't have that as an example. So whatever the reason is, trust me when I tell you, God knows what He is doing, and there is a reason why you are still in this waiting process. And just be mindful so that you don't, get caught in a situation that you don't need to be in. Then it's hard to get out. And I'm going to do a separate video on domestic violence, because if I start talking about that right now, trust me, we'll be here for another 2 hours. But if you are watching this video and you are in an abusive relationship, make sure that you understand that that's when, if you decide to leave, and you should, especially if it's physically abusive and you decide to leave, understand that is the most dangerous time, and that you need to get a safety plan so that you can leave, or you and your kids can leave safely. Most police departments, sheriff's departments, women's centers, domestic violence shelters, they all have victim advocates. And if you don't know where to go in your area to talk to a victim advocate to get help, then call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. They have victim advocates on call 24/7 that will help you find somebody in your area to help you get a safety plan so you can leave safely. That is the most important thing. Everybody always want to talk about why she don't leave. Right? No, you don't understand what the situation is. I just saw a YouTube video about a young lady that was a YouTuber. I think she's 28 years old. They found her in the trunk of her boyfriend's car. So domestic violence is very real, y'all. It's very, very real. Very real. And it is sad. It is happening. And because we're not, educated on the cycle and dynamics of domestic violence, the dangers, it is happening way too often. It is happening. And it is the burden of my heart. It is my passion to, educate and empower women to get out of those types of relationships, or educate and train not to end up in that kind of a relationship in the first place. And like I said, I will do just like y'all just seen. If I start talking about it, I could go on and on and on. But I just want to make sure that if you're watching this video and you are in an abusive relationship, please contact a victim advocate in your local area to help you get a safety plan so that you can leave safely. And if you don't know where to go, then call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They will be able to help you. 1-800-799-7233. Well, that's the end of my first YouTube video. Thank you if you for watching this video. Everybody's a first time viewer. If you like what you heard, please share it, like, subscribe. I need as many subscribers as I can get now. This, like I said, this is my first video. But remember to guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow the issues of life. I'll see you in the next video.